The council chamber stretched farther than Alex Carter had ever imagined. Lights of deep blue and violet reflected off walls made of some translucent alien crystal, creating a soft, otherworldly glow. The ceiling seemed to curve endlessly, and floating platforms hovered gently above the floor, carrying alien delegates who looked at him with a mixture of curiosity and disdain. Humanity had never been invited to the Galactic Council before. This was their first opportunity to represent Earth, and Alex felt the weight of the entire planet pressing down on his shoulders. He took a deep breath and stepped forward. Each footstep echoed faintly against the crystalline floor, sounding louder than he expected. Alien delegates turned to watch him. Some had faces he couldn't even begin to describe, shimmering scales, extra eyes, elongated heads, but all shared the same silent judgment. Humans were new, fragile, and apparently too primitive to understand the complex politics of the galaxy. Alex could almost feel their skepticism hanging in the air. At the far end of the chamber sat the Queen. She was massive, larger than any human had a right to imagine, with wings folded behind her throne and eyes that seemed to pierce right through him. The throne itself hovered slightly above the ground, resting on a platform of shimmering light. Every movement she made carried authority and power. This was not a ruler one could approach casually. Alex walked forward, trying to keep his composure. The other human diplomats had advised him to bow slightly, speak clearly, and above all, stay out of trouble. But as he got closer, he noticed something strange. The Queen's throne had controls embedded into its sides, strange, glowing panels with shifting symbols that no human technology could replicate. Alex didn't understand their purpose, but they hummed softly with energy. He was careful to keep his distance, and then she moved. The Queen shifted in her seat, leaning slightly forward, narrowing the distance between them. Alex froze for a moment. This was not expected. The protocol had been clear: maintain respectful distance. But the Queen seemed almost curious or perhaps amused. Her head tilted slightly and her eyes fixed on him. It was impossible to read her expression, but there was no doubt that all the eyes in the chamber were on him. In his nervousness, Alex took an involuntary step to the side, and his hand brushed against one of the glowing panels. Immediately, the Queen froze. Her large eyes widened and her posture stiffened. The hum of the panel increased and faint lights pulsed across its surface. Every alien delegate in the room leaned forward, whispering to one another in their strange languages. Alex's heart pounded. He had no idea what he had just done, but it was clear it had startled everyone, including her. Alex tried to pull his hand back, but his reflexes betrayed him, and he knocked against another part of the panel. Suddenly, the room filled with holographic light. A massive three-dimensional map appeared in the center of the chamber, glowing and rotating slowly. Lines and points marked the stars and wormholes of the galaxy. Alex blinked. He had not intended this. He didn't even know this was possible. The Queen's eyes were fixed on the map. She did not look angry. She looked shocked. She opened her mouth as if to speak, but no sound came out. Alex could almost feel her mind racing. The alien delegates whispered urgently, and a few of them seemed ready to accuse him of sabotage. Alex swallowed hard. He had to act fast before things got worse. I'm sorry," he said in a clear, human voice, trying to calm the situation. "I didn't mean to activate anything. It was an accident." But from the way the delegates were reacting, it was clear that he had stumbled onto something important. The council murmured, and the Queen leaned back slightly. She was silent for a moment, then gestured toward the rotating map. Alex's heart sank as he realized the map was showing not just star systems, but secret routes, hidden wormholes, and perhaps locations of fleets and installations. Information that was meant to be hidden. The whispers grew louder. "Humans," one alien delegate hissed. "They are not to be trusted." The Queen's eyes locked onto his again, and for a moment he thought she would order him removed from the chamber. Instead, she paused. Slowly, she lifted one of her massive claws, or whatever her hand-like appendages could be called, and touched the panel herself. The map responded, settling into a steady rotation, calm and precise. She studied it silently for a long moment. Then she looked at Alex. "You have curiosity," she said, her voice a mix of awe and caution, "and bravery. This human has done what we have not dared to do for centuries." "I can help," he said. If you let me explain, I can help." And now one human was standing in the middle of the council, in front of a queen, about to explain something he barely understood himself. Alex studied the holographic map. Lines connected distant stars in ways that made little sense to him at first. But he remembered reading about wormholes, gravity wells, and ancient technology on Earth. He pointed to a cluster of stars and tried to describe what he had learned. If you route energy this way, through the central nexus, you can stabilize the wormholes, he said, trying to sound confident. It's not guaranteed, but it should work. But this map, it's different. I think I can help you see patterns that others have missed. The tension in the chamber eased slightly. The whispers continued, but now there was curiosity instead of immediate suspicion. Alex felt a surge of hope. Maybe humanity could prove itself here. Maybe this accidental touch, this moment of panic, was the beginning of something bigger than he had ever imagined. The Queen leaned forward again, her massive eyes fixed on him. "You are not like the others," she said. "Perhaps humans are capable of more than we thought. Not by protocol, not by careful diplomacy, but by accident, courage, and quick thinking." Alex didn't know what would come next. He only knew that he had caught the attention of the most powerful ruler in the galaxy, and somehow that gave him hope. As the council session continued, the Queen leaned back in her throne, observing Alex as he explained more details about the map and the wormholes. Other delegates tried to interrupt, but she silenced them with a gesture. Humans were still new here, but she had decided, at least for now, that they deserved a chance to speak. Alex's hands shook slightly as he pointed to another part of the holographic map. "If you connect these routes here, you can create a safe path for smaller ships. They won't be detected by the older systems." He was proving that humans could think differently, act bravely, and survive in ways the galaxy did not expect. And for the first time, he understood that sometimes being underestimated was humanity's greatest strength. The council session ended with more discussion, but Alex felt a shift in the atmosphere. The Queen, still observing him, did not leave her throne. He knew that this was only the beginning. Humans had survived their first trial by fire in the Galactic Council, and they had done it by being themselves, bold, curious, and unexpectedly clever. As he left the chamber, Alex felt a mixture of relief and anticipation. The galaxy was vast, dangerous, and full of unknowns. But for the first time, he felt that humanity might not just survive, they might thrive. And the Queen, who had frozen in surprise just minutes before, now regarded him with a strange mixture of respect and curiosity. A silent promise hung in the air. The next encounter would not be so simple. Alex stepped into the corridor outside the council chamber, breathing deeply. Humanity had made its first mark, and somehow, by accident, by courage, and by quick thinking, they had earned a place in the galaxy's grand stage. The stars outside the window glimmered with possibilities, and Alex knew one thing for certain: the humans were not finished yet. The council chamber had emptied, but the tension did not leave Alex Carter's mind. Even as he walked down the long corridor, the soft hum of alien machinery echoing faintly around him, he could still feel the Queen's gaze lingering. Every step reminded him that humans had been given a chance, but this chance came with risk. One wrong move, and he could undo everything he had achieved in the past hour. His communicator buzzed lightly, and he answered immediately. "Carter here," he said. "Alex," said Mara, his fellow diplomat, her voice tight with urgency. "The council is buzzing. That map you triggered, everyone is talking about it. Some delegates are furious, others are intrigued. But the Queen, she hasn't said anything publicly yet. She wants to see what you can do next." "I barely managed to survive the first presentation. I'm not sure I can do more." By the time they returned to the council chamber the next day, the human team had been given a small workstation near the Queen's throne. The aliens around him were still skeptical, glancing at him with suspicion, whispering in their alien languages. They did not believe humans could contribute meaningfully. Alex welcomed the doubt. It meant no one was watching too closely for a mistake yet. The Queen sat again on her hovering throne, wings folded neatly behind her, her gaze piercing as always. Her massive eyes followed every movement Alex made. She gestured toward the holographic map that now hovered in the center of the chamber. Alex stepped forward, trying to hide his nervousness. "Today," the Queen said, her voice resonating through the chamber, "we test your reasoning further. The wormhole network is unstable. Some regions have fluctuating energy fields that make travel dangerous. Our previous attempts to stabilize these fields have failed. You, human, will help us find a solution." He had read about wormholes on Earth, but nothing prepared him for real-time data spanning hundreds of systems. He took a deep breath. "I need to understand the patterns first," he said. "Can you show me the energy readings over time?" At first it looked random, chaotic even. But then he noticed something, a subtle rhythm in the fluctuations. It wasn't perfect symmetry, but there were cycles, patterns that repeated in ways the aliens had not accounted for. He pointed to a cluster of unstable lines. If you reroute the energy here and synchronize it with these nodes over there, it should stabilize the fluctuations, he explained. It won't be perfect at first, but it will reduce risk significantly. The details may need adjustment, but it is a logical solution based on the data. I may be human, but I can reason through patterns you have missed. Please let me demonstrate. The lines on the holographic map began to smooth. Shimmering instability faded from the most dangerous sections. Some delegates gasped. Others whispered urgently. How does he know this? Impossible. Perhaps humans are not so primitive. Not emotion exactly, but acknowledgement that he had done what others could not. By the time he finished the first set of corrections, a large portion of the network had stabilized. A ripple of excitement passed through the chamber. Alex exhaled, trying to hide his relief. He had done it, but he knew this was only the beginning. The council had been impressed, but this success had also painted a target on humanity's back. Impressive, the Queen said finally, her voice carried across the chamber. You have shown adaptability and clarity of thought. Perhaps humans are more capable than we assumed. The Queen leaned back in her throne, wings folding behind her. For a moment she seemed to study him closely, as if trying to measure the limits of human potential. Suddenly the calm was shattered. A loud alarm echoed through the chamber. The holographic map flashed red in several regions. Energy spikes surged across the wormhole network. Alex's stomach dropped. Something was wrong. What is happening? He asked, the Queen's eyes sharpened. A disturbance, not natural, external, possibly hostile. If the pattern continued, multiple wormholes could destabilize at once, causing massive destruction. We need a solution, the Queen said, her voice commanding. Human, your plan must now adapt to this anomaly. He realized he had only one option: rely on improvisation, intuition, and human creativity, the things aliens often dismissed as inferior. Give me access to the outer nodes, he said, pointing at the sections experiencing the most extreme spikes. I'll reroute energy temporarily to contain the collapse, then we can stabilize the network. You cannot handle this, one shouted. You are human. Lights on the map stabilized slowly, though several sections still shimmered dangerously. The Queen leaned forward, her eyes watching every adjustment. Your methods are unconventional, she said, yet effective. We can stabilize fully if we monitor the cycles and adjust the nodes continuously. Some nodded slowly, acknowledging that humans could indeed contribute something valuable. The Queen, however, remained silent for a moment longer. Finally, she said, Human, you have done what we have not dared attempt in centuries. You combine risk with insight, instinct with logic. Perhaps the Council has underestimated your species. I'm honored, Your Majesty, he said, but we are still learning. I will continue to help. Not by brute force, not by perfect knowledge, but by ingenuity and courage. As he returned to the human team's quarters, Mara greeted him with a wide smile. You did it. They actually listened to you. They might actually respect humans now. That anomaly, whatever it was, it could return, and next time we might not have this much time to react. Humanity had survived their first major challenge in interstellar politics, and now they had proven that they could not only survive but make a difference. But in the back of his mind, Alex knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, full of dangers and unknown forces. If humans were to thrive, they would need to continue thinking fast, acting boldly, and using every advantage their unique perspective offered. He looked out of the window at the stars beyond the council chambers. Thousands of systems, countless planets, and infinite possibilities stretched before him. Humanity was small, fragile even, but perhaps that was their greatest strength. They could see what others overlooked. They could act where others hesitated. And as Alex realized this, a faint smile crossed his face. The galaxy had just begun to notice humans, and humans had just begun to show the galaxy what they were capable of. The council chamber had quieted, but the uneasy tension still lingered in the air. Alex Carter could feel it pressing against him as he reviewed the wormhole network data again. The anomaly from the previous day had been contained, but no one could predict if it was over. The council relied on the network for travel, communication, and trade across hundreds of systems. If it collapsed again, the consequences would be catastrophic. Alex's team of human specialists had set up in a corner of the chamber, working on simulations to predict future disturbances. Mara sat beside him, her eyes scanning lines of alien code and energy patterns. "They're waiting for your next move," she said quietly. "The Council and the Queen are both watching. One mistake and humans are out." He had learned something crucial yesterday. The aliens valued logic, precision, and authority, but they often failed to consider adaptability and intuition. That was humanity's advantage. They could improvise. They could respond to situations that had no clear rules. That instinct might save the galaxy one day or destroy them all. Before he could dwell on the thought, the chamber doors opened. A new wave of delegates arrived, and among them were emissaries from systems that had previously been neutral or even hostile toward humanity. Whispers spread quickly. "The human survives the first test. They dare to touch our secrets and still stand. Perhaps they are more capable than we thought." "We face a new challenge," she announced. The anomaly was not isolated. Sensors indicate multiple disturbances originating from beyond the Council's known space. Unknown forces are approaching, and they will test us all. The Queen's calm tone did not make him feel safer. If humans were going to survive here, they would need more than ingenuity, they would need courage. The Queen gestured toward the holographic map again. This time, additional points had appeared, glowing faintly like warning signals. Alex studied them. "These disturbances," he said, "they're moving too fast for conventional tracking. We need a predictive system, something that can anticipate their path before they intersect with the wormhole network. We can combine intuition with logic. We can see what others overlook." The human team worked alongside him, translating alien code, adjusting parameters, and feeding predictions into the system. Minutes passed. The alien delegates watched in silence, some skeptical, others curious. Alex's pulse raced. He knew that if his calculations were wrong, they could destabilize the network again, or worse. But as the data settled, patterns emerged. The disturbances followed a rhythm. They were not random. "They're moving along natural gravitational currents," Alex explained. "But the currents are influenced by multiple forces, stars, dark matter clusters, and unknown anomalies. If we create temporary stabilization nodes along these currents, we can redirect the energy and prevent interference with the main network. We can refine it as we go, but it will buy us time." Lights on the map shifted, energy streams rerouted, and the red flashes of instability began to fade. He monitored every fluctuation, adjusting nodes as needed. The anomalies moved along predictable paths, avoiding the main wormhole network. It was working. Suddenly, the map flickered. New points appeared, much faster than before, moving erratically. Alex's stomach dropped. This was not the previous anomaly. This was something intelligent, something that adapted. "Someone or something is testing us," Alex said quietly. "It's not random anymore, it's responding to our adjustments." Murmurs turned to anxious chatter. A few shifted uncomfortably, realizing that this unknown force could threaten the entire galaxy. "We must act quickly," Alex said. "We can't wait for patterns to emerge naturally. We need to anticipate its next moves and respond before it strikes. Fail and we all fail. You risk exposure of the network's vulnerabilities." Energy streams shifted, some nodes lighting up brightly to attract the anomaly's attention. Alex monitored the responses, noting every deviation, every adjustment. Slowly, a pattern emerged. The anomaly moved toward the decoys, revealing its behavior and predicting its strategy. The Queen watched silently, wings folded, her expression unreadable. But Alex sensed approval in her gaze. Humans had once again shown the ability to act under pressure, to see possibilities where aliens had only expected caution. Minutes turned into an hour. The anomaly began to slow, its path becoming predictable. Alex adjusted stabilization nodes along the actual network, guiding the energy safely. The red flashes disappeared. The wormhole network stabilized, and the anomaly seemed to retreat, its intelligence unable to counter humanity's improvisation. The chamber erupted in cautious applause. Delegates turned to each other, some nodding in disbelief, others muttering words of respect. Alex stepped back, exhausted but elated. Humans had faced an intelligent, adaptive threat, and they had survived. The Queen's gaze finally rested fully on him. "You have done what no other species could," she said. "You adapt, you improvise, you think beyond rules and limitations. Humans may indeed be exceptional." And yet, in a matter of hours, they had stabilized a network that even the Council struggled to control, confronted an unknown, intelligent threat, and emerged victorious. The delegates, still murmuring, began to view humans differently. Curiosity replaced skepticism. Respect replaced doubt. Humanity had proven that their value was not in size, strength, or technology alone, but in creativity, adaptability, and courage. The queen rose slightly from her throne, wings spreading, casting long shadows across the chamber. "Humans," she said, "you have earned the Council's attention. Do not waste it. The galaxy is vast, and the challenges you face will only grow. But perhaps you are ready. Alex, you did it. They're starting to see humans differently. That's our greatest strength." And for the first time, Alex realized that being underestimated was not a weakness. It was an advantage. The galaxy expected humans to fail, and humans would continue to surprise them. As he turned back toward the workstations, the Queen's words echoed in his mind. "Perhaps you are ready." He didn't know what challenges lay ahead, but one thing was certain. Humans would meet them head-on, using every ounce of courage, ingenuity, and instinct they possessed. And the galaxy would take notice. The warning lights across the council chambers pulsed in a slow, threatening rhythm. Alex Carter stood at the central interface, studying the expanding holographic map. The anomalies they had observed before were no longer isolated. Dozens of unknown forces were converging toward the council's territory. Some were small, localized disturbances. Others were massive energy surges, moving too fast and too unpredictably to track easily. The Queen's presence filled the chamber like a shadow, her wings half extended as she studied the map. "This is unlike anything we have faced," she said, her voice resonating. "These forces are not random. They are coordinated, and they will disrupt the entire network if we do not act decisively." Aliens from dozens of systems whispered to each other in their alien languages. Some looked frightened, others were angered, blaming the humans for daring to interfere. Yet all eyes were on Alex. Humanity had proven capable once. Now they expected him to rise again or fail spectacularly. Alex's pulse quickened. The stakes had grown from localized anomalies to a potential galactic disaster. "We need a strategy," he said aloud, scanning the map. "We can't just react. We have to anticipate every movement and direct energy through safe channels before the disturbances reach the main network. I claim to see patterns differently. That perspective is what can give us an edge. If we wait for someone else to react, it will be too late." Mara, his second-in-command, worked furiously alongside him, coordinating calculations with alien technicians. The holographic map displayed hundreds of variables: energy flows, wormhole stability, gravitational anomalies, and the unpredictable movements of the approaching disturbances. It was chaos, but within chaos, patterns could be found. Humans excelled at that. "Focus on the northern sector," Alex instructed. "Those disturbances will intersect first with the Council's primary trade routes. If they collapse, the impact will ripple across multiple systems." The map responded, the red flashes dimming as the first wave of disturbances approached. Yet as they stabilized one area, another flare appeared elsewhere. The threats were multiplying. The Queen observed silently, wings folded. Her massive eyes betrayed little emotion, but Alex could sense the weight of her scrutiny. "The human leads this operation," she said finally, her voice echoing. "The Council follows your guidance. Success depends on your ability to act quickly and wisely." He drew a deep breath and focused on the map, visualizing the flows, imagining how each disturbance would react to their adjustments. "Move the energy nodes to create a diversion here," he said, pointing to the southern sector. "It will attract the largest anomalies and slow them down. That will give us time to stabilize the northern routes fully. If it fails, the southern systems could collapse." As the nodes shifted, the anomalies responded. They moved toward the diversion exactly as Alex predicted. His pulse quickened. The northern sector now had breathing room. He moved rapidly, adjusting stabilizers, rerouting energy, and monitoring feedback in real time. For a moment, everything seemed to hold. The Council breathed a collective sigh of relief. Delegates who had doubted him glanced at each other with new respect. Humans had turned chaos into order once again, but the relief was short-lived. The anomalies began to split, adapting to their diversions. Smaller disturbances moved unpredictably, targeting weak points in the network. Alex realized the enemy, or whatever intelligence controlled these forces, was learning from their responses. "We need to think beyond stabilizers," he muttered. "Temporary fixes won't hold. We need a permanent solution. If we can manipulate the energy flows correctly, it will have no choice but to follow our pattern or collapse. That is how we survive and succeed." The feedback loop required perfect timing and precise adjustments, but Alex's instincts guided him. His human intuition, honed by years of problem-solving under pressure, made the impossible seem possible. The anomalies began to respond as predicted. Their movements became predictable, following the paths Alex had designed. Red flashes dimmed across the holographic map. Slowly, the feedback loop took effect. Energy flows synchronized, stabilizers held, and the threats were neutralized one by one. The Queen observed quietly, her massive eyes tracking every movement. Delegates watched in stunned silence. Humans had once again proven capable of thinking where others hesitated, acting where others calculated endlessly. Finally, the last disturbance collapsed into the feedback loop, neutralized. The map stabilized completely. The council chamber erupted in astonished murmurs. Alex stepped back, exhausted but exhilarated. Humanity had not only survived, they had controlled a threat that even centuries of alien experience could not manage alone. The Queen's massive eyes focused on him. Human, your species continues to surprise us. You act with courage, think with clarity, and improvise when necessary. Perhaps we underestimated you. Humans may indeed have a role in shaping the galaxy. The Council will take notice. The galaxy watches, and we will observe how your species continues to respond to challenges. Know this, your actions have changed how we view humans. Humans had proven themselves capable, but survival required constant vigilance, adaptability, and courage. As he looked out at the stars beyond the council chamber, Alex understood one thing clearly. Humanity had made its mark, but this was only the beginning. The unknown forces of the galaxy would continue to test them, but humans had something others lacked: creativity, courage, and the ability to think beyond the expected. The stars glimmered with possibilities, some beautiful, some dangerous. Alex knew the humans were ready to face them all. Their ingenuity had saved the Council network today. Tomorrow it might save countless worlds. And as the Queen observed him from her throne, a silent understanding passed between them. Humans were not just survivors. They were innovators, problem solvers, and a force the galaxy would never forget. The council session ended, but the consequences of today's actions would resonate for generations. Humanity had taken the lead in a crisis that no other species could manage. They had proved that courage, adaptability, and ingenuity could overcome overwhelming odds. Alex turned to Mara. We need to prepare. The galaxy will continue to challenge us, and we must be ready to act. The Council, the Queen, the galaxy, they had seen what humans were capable of, and humanity had only just begun to show its potential. The stars outside the chamber glimmered like distant promises. Alex knew that no matter what came next, humans would meet it head-on. They were underestimated, yes, but that was their advantage. The galaxy would soon learn that humans were more than clever, they were unstoppable. The council chamber was tense, but different from the fear of the previous days. Now it was filled with anticipation. The anomalies that had threatened the wormhole network were returning, but this time, Alex Carter and the human team were ready. They had spent hours preparing, running simulations, predicting movements, and coordinating strategies with alien delegates who, though still skeptical, had begun to trust the humans' judgment. Alex stood at the central interface, eyes scanning the holographic map. Dozens of glowing points indicated disturbances approaching from outside known space. They were faster, smarter, and more unpredictable than anything humanity had encountered. But Alex felt no fear. Experience had sharpened his instincts. Improvisation and courage had become his tools, and the galaxy had learned over the past days that humans could handle situations others could not. The Queen observed him from her hovering throne, massive eyes fixed intently on every movement. Delegates around the chamber were tense, whispering in alien languages, their expressions a mix of awe and anxiety. Today, the humans would either solidify their place in the galaxy or be dismissed forever. Alex spoke quietly to Mara. We need to anticipate every move and force the anomalies to follow our patterns. They adapt quickly, but we'll outthink them this time. Are you ready? The anomalies responded immediately. Some moved toward the decoy nodes they had set up, while others probed the network's defenses. Alex monitored their patterns carefully, predicting their adjustments. He was not acting blindly. Every movement, every reroute was calculated, but with human creativity guiding his choices. The Queen's voice cut across the chamber. Human, you lead. The Council follows your strategy. Every decision rests with you. If executed correctly, the disturbances would have no choice but to follow the channels he had prepared, allowing the network to stabilize completely. The first wave moved as predicted. Energy streams guided them, and the red flashes diminished in the northern sector. The council murmured with astonishment. Even alien delegates who had doubted humanity began to nod. Alex could see the respect in their eyes, mingled with disbelief that a human mind had accomplished what centuries of alien planning had failed to achieve. But the anomalies were not passive. They began to split, moving unpredictably and testing the feedback loop. Alex's pulse quickened. This was the ultimate test. Every adjustment had to be precise, every node perfectly timed. He moved his hands across the interface with speed and accuracy, guiding energy flows, rerouting channels, and predicting the anomalies' next moves. Mara called out adjustments, working in perfect synchrony with Alex. Shift the southern node, now divert the secondary wave. It surged toward the council network, ignoring the channels, threatening to destabilize everything. Prepare the containment nodes, Alex said, voice calm but firm. We'll trap it in the energy feedback loop and neutralize it. Lights on the holographic map flickered and shifted, energy channels glowing brighter as they formed a cage around the largest anomaly. The red flashes intensified for a moment, signaling instability, but Alex stayed focused. Improvisation was humanity's strength, and now it was the Council's only hope. Now, he shouted. He triggered the final sequence, redirecting energy through the containment nodes. The anomaly resisted, pulsing and surging, but slowly the feedback loop took hold. The entity's movements became restricted, forced to follow the paths Alex had designed. The red flashes on the map faded. The wormhole network stabilized. The anomalies, contained and neutralized, vanished one by one. The council chamber erupted into astonished murmurs. Delegates whispered, pointing at the humans' console, unable to believe that a single species, so small and underestimated, had saved them all. The queen rose from her throne, wings folding elegantly behind her. "Human," she said, her massive voice echoing across the chamber, "you have done what no other species could. You acted with courage, foresight, and creativity. Humanity has proven itself invaluable. Perhaps humans will change the galaxy in ways we have yet to understand. The Council will never underestimate us again. Your species is no longer a curiosity. You are now recognized as capable contributors to galactic stability." Delegates from various systems began to speak, voicing tentative respect for humanity's abilities. The humans act with clarity and courage. Their minds approach problems differently. We can learn from them. Perhaps they are allies we can trust. Now they were seen as problem solvers, innovators, and crucial participants in galactic affairs. Their reputation had grown, and with it, their influence. The Queen finally addressed the chamber again. "Let this be a lesson to all species. Underestimating humans is dangerous. They think differently, adapt quickly, and act boldly. Humanity has saved us today, and they may save us again in the future." Mara leaned closer to Alex. "They're finally starting to understand. Humans have a place here. We will see how far your species can go," she said. "The galaxy is full of challenges. Humans have proven themselves in one test, but many more await. Continue to act wisely, human. Humans will continue to rise to every challenge." Alex and Mara returned to the human workstation, exhausted but exhilarated. "We did it," Mara said, voice quiet with awe. "The Council, the Queen, they finally understand us. Tomorrow there may be another, but we'll meet it. Humans survive, humans adapt, humans prevail." They had the chance to shape events, to innovate, and to lead. The Queen's voice echoed one last time across the chamber. "Humanity has earned its place. Let the galaxy take notice. Those who underestimate humans do so at their peril." They had faced anomalies, unknown forces, and a skeptical council, and they had triumphed. He turned to Mara, determination shining in his eyes. "The galaxy knows who we are now, and we're just getting started." Humanity had survived its first true test in the Galactic Council. They had risen from the underestimated to the respected. The universe was vast, full of unknowns, but one thing was certain. Humans would continue to adapt, innovate, and prevail. The stars shimmered like distant promises. Humanity had shown the galaxy that their ingenuity, courage, and adaptability could overcome the impossible. They were no longer novices. They were a force to be reckoned with, and humanity's story in the galaxy was only beginning.